Hello there gorgeous gamers, and welcome back to Pure Play TV, and we're going back to the past, 2008 in fact, in the hunt for a few YouTube clicks. So why not take a look at the Bourne Conspiracy? It's a game I played as a much younger man, and well before I ever got into writing about video games, so let's call it me making up for lost time. Let's get on with it. Growing up, I loved the Bourne movies. Well, actually, I genuinely do feel like I could marry Doug Liman and live a good life with the man after what he produced with the Bourne Identity. Paul Greengrass would be relegated to side chick for his super wobbly action scenes that still give me the Treadstone headache. Once the franchise wrapped up, or so we thought until Jeremy Renner had a go, and then an aging Matt Damon came back for one more movie, it seemed like the natural way of keeping the franchise alive was via a video game. Why not? Jason Bourne is often compared to James Bond, and the walking STD has had enough video games, so why shouldn't Bourne get one? He did, eventually, in the form of High Moon Studios' The Bourne Conspiracy. However, while it's good, it's also a letdown on a few fronts, the biggest being the deviation from the under-the-radar killer to a Nathan Drake wannabe. Not just in his body count, mind you, but in his looks too. Matt Damon didn't want his face in a video game, why the hell not? So we're left with a Jason Bourne who has a face of 1,000 Hollywood leading men, the gold standard template for the late noughties and early 2010s. White, brown hair, probably does CrossFit 4 times a week, you know the drill. I got over the lack of Matt Damon quite quickly, but what I couldn't shake during my recent playthrough is just how different the Bourne is to the one in the movies or even in the books. Instead of being shown as a very resourceful, very intelligent operative who works best when he's blending with the crowd, the Bourne Conspiracy's hero is more comfortable with a gun in his hand. Matt Damon's interpretation of the character was notably against guns, and we were often shown his Bourne dismantling and dumping firearms to show that he was beyond certain aspects of the life that he was trying to rediscover. The Bourne Conspiracy has no problem putting a wide array of firearms in Bourne's reach, nor does it mind giving players waves of bad guys to shoot at. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I swear that in all 4 mainline Bourne movies, Matt Damon only killed a handful of enemies with a gun. He beat the shit out of a load of people, for sure. But within the first half an hour of the Bourne Conspiracy, Bourne has filled a village graveyard, and come the end credits, he's up there with the best white psychos that gaming has to offer. I do understand the need to make the game appeal to as wide an audience as possible. By the time the Bourne Conspiracy came out, stealth games were on a very rapid decline, whereas third-person cover shooters were on the rise. The smart move is to go with the trend, and that's what High Moon did, though they did manage to break the mold a little bit and throw in a few features that other games would incorporate later on. For example, the adrenaline meter that fills up as Bourne smashes and shoots bad guys can be used to take out one or more enemies with some really cinematic one-shot kills. Sound familiar? It will if you played Splinter Cell Conviction or Blacklist. That there is the mark and execute feature, lifted right from a licensed game, of all places. Licensed video games are not usually the place to go looking for the next big thing, or small thing actually, but the Bourne Conspiracy stood out as a fairly decent, if awkward, retelling of one of the best movies that the spy genre had come up with in a long time. You have to remember, when the Bourne Identity came out, James Bond was still super shite, and had yet to get the Nolan-esque gritty reboot. A game based on such a mature movie was, and I suppose still is, a real rarity. For a game that retold and expanded the original movie with the very unoriginal storytelling tool of flashbacks, The Bourne Conspiracy was not a bad effort. It was confused at times between being a real mature spy thriller and a balls-to-the-wall action game. But here I am, 15 years later, almost, still wondering what could have been if a sequel game was given the green light. Where could Jason Bourne have ended up within the gaming landscape? Was there, and is there, a place for quick-time-centric melee combat? Given that Matt Damon is now shilling crypto for a few warm meals, could he have come around to the idea of having his face stuck in a video game after all? Could we have avoided the fourth Bourne movie altogether? Maybe in one of those other universes. In this one, we got one Bourne game, and it was okay. It'll do. And that is the end of this video, my dearie dears. I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane with me, and if you did, I hope you'll give the like and subscribe buttons a little nudge so that you don't miss out on any future videos. I've been Chris, you've been gorgeous, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, cheers my dears.